So it's official. William Nylander has signed his extension with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I made a video a few days ago talking about the extension that was inevitable. I thought it was going to be 8 years, $10.25 million a year. Ended up being 8 years, $10.5 million a year. So an extra $250,000 a year, which is a bit wild. That's for sure. So definitely a bit crazy. However, I just wanted to project out and see what this means moving forward with the roster. Before we do that, just look at this man. Studley, that's for sure. So I created a team on Cap Friendly projecting for next year with the cap of $87.7 million, which is the projected cap as of now, so 87.7, which is going up 4.2 million. We'll see exactly where it ends up, but that is where we are landing at the moment. So my focus on this team was, can I make a team that is respectable with William Nylander at $11.5 million cap hit? So let's take a look and dive in and see. There's a few things in here that we can talk about, that we can adjust. But the biggest focus that I wanted to do, so if we look at this team, first line is still the same. We got Matthews, Marner, and Matthew Nyes. Second line, we got Tavares and William Nylander. And I put Nicholas Robertson on the left wing. We will see. I would love to give him a proper shot in the top six at some point in time, so I just pegged him in there for now. I signed him for a 3-year deal at $1.5 million a year. So 3 years, $1.5 million a year. It's hard to project exactly where he's going to be, but that's what we got. Third line, I re-signed Domi for $3.5 million a year. Put him at third line center for 3 years. So I really like the addition of Domi. I like him being at center. So he just looks good there. So I kept him there, 3 years, $3.5 million, which is a $500,000 increase that he from this year. We'll see what he signs for, but I would like to get him back. The two big things here on his line, I put Fraser Minten on the left wing, Easton Cowan on the right wing. Now those names can be adjusted. Obviously that depends on if they make the team or not. They're both our young prospects. Fraser Minten made our team out of camp this year, but he only played 4 games and he didn't get a true proper shot. They basically realized, okay, we're only going to give him 10 minutes a night, so let's send him elsewhere. He is a center, so I know a lot of people don't love putting him on the wing in this scenario, and they would rather see him in the Marlies. But I'm okay with putting a young guy on the wing, because then they will be able to take face-offs in specific circumstances. If Domi gets kicked out, they got Minten, who can throw in some face-offs. Or on the strong side, if his strong side and Max Domi's strong side on the face-offs are opposite, they'll just take face-offs and he can play in that scenario. Or if somebody gets hurt. But Fraser Minten, I assume, will make the team next year based on the fact that he made it this year. Just a smart player. I project him to be a Boone Jenner type, who is the captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Just a really good middle six forward who just works extremely hard and who is smart. On the right wing, Easton Cowan. He's shown so much poise and flash. He looks so good in the preseason, but he's younger, he's smaller. He's had an amazing start to this season in the OHL, and him and Fraser Minten both made Team Canada at the World Juniors. Easton Cowan didn't really get much going offensively for Team Canada, but he did make a stacked team. So it would still be interesting to see if he makes it. So if one or both of these guys don't make it, we have Alex Steeves, and we would have Holmberg, who could come up. Holmberg is looking good, so he could definitely come up as well. So we have both those options, and we also have the option of signing some low-end, cheaper guys, kind of like when we signed Bunting a few years ago to $950,000 a year. We could play around and put those guys in there as well. But I just want to make it, put Cowan and Minten in there just to see what it looks like. We got David Kampf. I did post this. So David Kampf, Noah Gregor, league minimum, and Yarncroke. Yarncroke could go up as well. So if, let's say, Easton Cowan comes out, Yarncroke moves up. We put a Holmberg up as well. So that's an option. So that's the forward lineup. The defensive lineup, this is where I spent most of our money. So if you see on the forwards, our biggest omission here is Tyler Bertuzzi. Tyler Bertuzzi, great player. I'm really enjoying what he's bringing to the table. But currently his cap hit is $5.5 million. and I would rather prioritize that money and put it into defense. Which is what I did here. So Morgan Riley, and I put Matt Roy. I signed him to a 5-year deal, $5.75 million a year. He is a big defensive-minded right D who plays on the LA Kings right now. He plays second most minutes or third most minutes on that team behind Doughty for sure. He's just a really stud defenseman. I know LA would love to keep him. I'm having a trouble projecting what he'll be, but 5.75 times 5 I think is reasonable. I tried to project cap hits that were reasonable, but it is hard to project fully. But Matt Roy was an option. We have Pesci, who could be an option. We have Tanev, who could be a cheaper option, older option as well. But Matt Roy is 28 years old, so I thought that was reasonable to plug him in there. He'd be a really good top pairing D man. On the second pairing, I signed Nikita Zadorov for 4 years, $4 million a year. He's like 6'7", 250 pounds. He's preferably a number 5 D-man, but he's huge. He has a big shot based on his size. I think he would provide a lot of value, and he provides a lot of physicality and size that our current D-core is missing. So I think he would be a really good addition. Brad Treliving actually signed Nikita Zadorov in Calgary to his past deal. I think it was a 2-year, $3.875, if I remember correctly. I would need to double check that, but it was something on those lines. So Nikita Zadorov would be a great add here as well. Extended Liljegren for 3 years, $3.5 million a year. I can see that being a pretty good pair as well. Liljegren would have a bit more ability to go offensive here as well. And then the third pairing, I put, so the bottom three, we got Jake McCabe, who's been doing a great job. We got Connor Timmins, and then I re-signed Simone Benoit to 2 years, $1.25 million. Yeah, 2 years, $1.25 million. It's kind of hard to predict exactly what Benoit is going to get, and he's been great. So I think in our current scenario, he would actually move up, and McCabe would move to the right, and Timmins would probably be the scratch. But overall, you can kind of see the picture. So I actually really like this forward group. It is young on the wings, so we could sign a few extra guys at low cap who are a bit older if necessary, especially if Minton and Cowan aren't available. But remember, we have Alex Steeves, who is lighting up the AHL right now. He's 23 years old. He's deserving of a shot in the NHL. And we have Pontus Holmberg as well on this AGM re-signed. In net, this is where I chose not to go with very much money. We have Joseph Woll, who was already signed for $766,000. And then I re-signed Martin Jones, who's clearly doing amazing. It's hard to predict his value. He is an older goalie. He was signed $850,000 this year. But he's been so good. So I just extended him for 2 years at $1.5 million a year to be our backup. That's kind of the top end range that I want to see for that position. Is about $1.5 million. It could be Martin Jones. It could be a Reimer. It could be Stollers. Somebody on those lines. But I really would love to see Martin Jones come back just based on how he's been able to solidify our goaltending and our team so far this year. So in the scenario, we have 21-man roster, and we have $248,000 of cap hit. I also sent Ryan Reeves down to the AHL here, so we have a $200,000 penalty with Ryan Reeves going into the minors. So we have to keep that in mind. I don't love the Ryan Reeves signing, so I sent him down. He could come up, and a few dollars could be removed elsewhere. But ultimately, to say this team can be good. Honestly, we have 4 players all making over $11 million. Marner's at 10.9. But the rest of the team looks pretty solid, especially if a Minton and a Cowan can really play up to their skill. In the minors, on the defensive core, we have Niemela, who might be able to come back up. And we have Kokkonen, who's having a really good year. So we have those two in the minors in this scenario. We have Hildeby, the Hildebeest, in the minors in net. So we have a lot of good options. Is it perfect? No. I would much rather this team with Bertuzzi as well. I think he adds a huge element to this team. It'll be interesting to see how he does in the playoffs as well. But overall, this team looks like it can be very solid. And their D-core would be pretty well established here as well. Honestly, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. I'm actually pretty surprised that this team can work. Am I way off base with any of my signings? Or am I way off on cap hit? Is some of it unrealistic? I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. So please, let me know. Anyways, Brian the Leafs guy here. So honored to have you here. Much love to you. And I'll see you next time.